I was hoping you would have to put it in your mouth.
Alright, that was the first line on this section of recorded video. The thing that you just said. So that's going to be a great intro to whatever the hell I post. Anyway. Everybody, this is game number 3, I believe, in the reign of the Kraken and Atyla. Or is it game number 2? 3. I think this is their third.
They just won their second. This is their third round.
This is their third round, and it will be on Vergon. Between the red team on the left side, it is the Kraken in the Tomcat Striker and Atyla in the Deep Sea Osprey.
The challengers are Lord of Lords in the Black Ops Striker and LeAssassin in the Envision Osprey.
Ooh, and they have matching 3 of the same color, not the same color exactly on both of them, but each player has 3 of the same color star pets.
So Striker Osprey versus Striker Osprey. Atyla immediately grabbing the box on the north side, and LeAssassin immediately grabbing the lockbox on the bottom side. So it looks like people are starting to take your advice to heart and exploit those lockboxes as much as they can.
There you
Lord
go.
of Lords checking the top, but didn't realize it had already been taken.
But Carbon
looks
Team...
like Carbon Team's committing hard bottom, Red Team's going hard top.
It's interesting that we haven't really seen an instance where both teams are trying to go for the same post. Both teams... I mean, it's kind of a dice roll. It's a 50-50 for the most part, right? I mean...
Well, you've called heads 4 times and gotten it.
Well... Yeah, I said dice roll, didn't I? Coin flip would have been the more apt comparison there. Anyway, red team grabbing their post, Carbon Team grabbing their post, and it looks like we got a game here for the mid.
So, I do think bottom is... Well, actually... Maybe I'm being too
It's
subjective,
really hard to
because
say.
Bottom, I feel like bottom has the better angle on the middle outpost, but if I'm not mistaken, whoever has gone for the top has ended up winning the game overall. So I think it has something to do with the fact that even though top doesn't have as good of an angle on middle, top has a substantially better angle on fort.
Well, I think this is an intended design element that I implemented on the map. Bottom has a better angle on mid, but top has a shorter ferry distance from mid. So it is more difficult to get a better position from top, but your ability to touch base with your outpost is going to happen a lot faster. So that's the trade-off. That's the trade-off that I attempted to design into the map.
What I would potentially change is remove all these stalactites that are blocking the unit vision to shoot down.
But they look so cool. Risky, they look so cool.
They look cool,
they look cool.
They defeat the position. If you actually put any units along the center of the bottom rung, they can't shoot.
Risky, they look so cool. They look so cool. Why don't you want to look cool?
Your decorations impede gameplay.
Aww. Literally something that I've complained about the entire time I've been, with the game, but then I put them in my maps, so, whatever.
Hey, do it if you want. Carbon Team is upkeep capped to shit, and that's going to really bite them. Red should be able to capture this bottom outpost fairly soon, but...
Yeah, they really need to take it back. The proximity from the bottom post to the enemy fort is actually really freaking close. So I'm a little surprised not to see people take advantage of that yet.
I mean, they're both pretty close to the fort when you get down to it.
The top is a lot further. So, no one has mid. There's usually going to be the fight for mid. But at this point, we've seen one team have, gaining control of top, one team gaining control of bottom. And the distance from bottom to mid is really, really freaking short. When you look at the difference between top to mid and bottom to mid, top to fort and bottom to fort, it's very noticeable, I would say.
There's also no defensive sockets on the bottom outpost.
Yes.
A little awkward.
Yeah, I kind of figured that it would be... So my thought process was, it's a lot easier fighting bottom to top vision-wise because of the way that the game, has its literal camera angle. So I wanted it to be a little bit more difficult to defend against bottom because it's so much easier fighting bottom top. vision-wise. But maybe I should add a couple of defensive sockets in for the bottom outpost. Something to consider.
Did James experiment a little bit with particular maps having different camera angles?
No. I remember the request to flip map so you're always fighting from bottom, but he shut that down pretty hard, basically saying that it would be extremely tedious and take a long time to implement that. So, red team grabbing mid, and now inching closer and closer to the carbon team's outpost here at the bottom. Okay, it goes right back down to neutral, but the red team has a foothold on the surrounding area. Whopper's going down for the carbon team. Lord of Lords defending against this fort drop, and being abandoned. Oh! Okay, I was about to say, like, what is he gonna do there? Okay, there you go.
Nothing.
He drops some creeps. The creeps will eventually kill it. Atyla repositioning.
On the bottom? Okay. Huh.
I mean, hey, if it's your only post. But yeah, I seeing games on it now, I realize I do need to put some sockets down there that for, you know, in a different position. So I'll do that. I can do that. That is very doable.
They're probably not going to get used, but it's okay.
Oh, Krakken sniping the box under the nose of the carbon team who owns the bottom outpost. That's kind of sad.
Well, I think at this point, you've probably got most of the players have forgotten that there is a box to snipe.
Right, probably. But it does seem like
that box along the top that's still there.
And Krakken, I mean, but Krakken's the one that grabbed the one at the bottom, so.
Man, red, I think, is just an overwhelming advantage in their unit positioning and composition right here.
Briefly taking the bottom outpost.
That's such a solid mid-fight. I mean, the Buster Longhorn, there's a reason it's the popular composition.
Yep. I mean, Atyla Osprey, you know, basically the only mech he plays, as far as I'm aware. I think he experiments with random other mechs here and there, but basically an exclusive Osprey player, basically an exclusive mid-fighter for the most part. So.
Well, he's good at it, so there's that.
It's basically, I would consider that his specialty. I don't know if you'd think that same thing, but if that's primarily what you focus on, if that's primarily your approach, yeah, I don't know. Red Dog commenting in chat, seems like left side always wants to go over top and right for bottom. Map seems very favorable for people who get top. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly why. I'm guessing because the creeps go to mid is one of was a major thing, rather than
it's partially the shorter distance. I think it's also a lot because top it is, while on the high ground you can shoot the outpost. Bottom it is harder to take the high ground and shoot the outpost without your position falling apart.
So you're saying I should put more spikes so you can't shoot and block the line of sight. Is that what you're saying?
I think if you remove the doodads, that will even it out a little bit, but I think the shorter distance still favors top.
Yeah, so I wanted to, you know, it's really easy to just mirror the whole damn thing, right? But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have two outposts, one top, one bottom, that have strategically different approaches. So that's why I made one slightly closer. I can push the outpost out a little bit just to even it out.
Well, the other option would be, why is there no ground path to bottom?
I just didn't want one.
because there's no ground path to bottom, your creeps never go to it.
Your
creeps are always going to middle or top.
Well, creeps are going to middle regardless. I mean, I guess if you hold middle, then you can argue that they won't go to bottom. So I guess it's...
But literally the only way I could get a pile of zippers over there is to individually ferry each single one.
Right. So
whereas top is just simpler to capture.
So I
guess could be good and bad.
I could connect the path here, just with a small, you know, piece of land there. And I could do that. So I will consider it. I will definitely consider it. Or just make two ramps, so it's up and down. So there is actually a path, but it's still kind of the same type of terrain.
I think just being able to get light units there might be okay. Even if it's a narrow path, even if it's choke.
And I get the point that, So I guess the biggest problem is that one of the biggest problems is that once you neutralize that bottom post, you have to manually get creeps. There's no waiting for creeps to come to you. Whereas, let's say bottom neutralizes top, creeps are very close because of the path to mid.
Look at Red insisting on continuing this mid fight all the way to the last
All
line
the
of
way
defense
down.
on the bottom
Yeah.
center. They're going past the goddamn fort. They're going to take this fucking outpost. Yeah, if it's the last thing they do.
Yeah, pretty hilarious.
I mean, that you can tell very quickly what kind of team this is by the fact that they chose to do that rather than send anything to fort.
Good point. Good point. Red team is dominating. This is basically surrender time for the Carbon team, which is down 6-1 in upkeep. Yeah, there's nowhere left to fight. There's nowhere left. Nowhere left.
Nowhere to run.
But I don't know if you've noticed, Frisky, but there is a direct fort-to-fort path along the bottom and the top. It's long, but should you choose to use light units or something, you could traverse it in a non-ridiculous amount of time.
It's such a long direct fort-to-fort path that your units will never choose to take it unless you custom path them through it.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, I know. I get your point. We'll move on to the next queued up team.